Well, here's the CZ26 bolt. One of my friends that has a lathe actually did this for me. He got the hole drilled through, so it's no longer a open bolt fixed firing pin. And what he did was he took a piece of rod that fit through the front right here. So it was the same size, and he drilled that, and he tapped it with 2 set screws so he could put a drill bit in it and center it, and he drilled it through the front here. And then what I've got here, I cut these 2 pieces of rod. These are going to sit not exactly like this, but something like this. And this will be the front piece. I'll have to grind this down, and this will be the front part that engages the sear. And these 2 rods will be welded to this. And back here I'll have to get another piece of steel and weld it to them back here, and make it so that it uses the ejector rod right here as a guide rod. And I think I'll put a spring along the ejector rod too to push on the new, I guess you call this a striker. Kind of like a slide hammer, I guess, not really a striker. That's what I'd call it, a slide hammer. Well, anyway, and then maybe put a little bit of a buffer right here, just enough to take up the new spring. Since this spring's got the bolt. It's hard to do with one hand. See, the bolt can smack all the way to the back because there's plenty of space for the spring to compress. But if I put a new spring in between there, there's going to be no place for it to compress. So I'm going to have to come up with some kind of spacer. And then here's my crude barrel. It's about 17 inches right now. And it's a FAL barrel. You can get them for $5 at Apex. Here's the chamber end that I cut off. They're demilled. It's got a, there's I guess a serial number. And it's got the Belgian. Well, I've got a gun from 1860 and it has that same mark. So they've been using that about forever. Now I don't have the chamber completely finished. I've been using drill bits and a bit of sandpaper and stuff. Now I can get the case to go in there as long as it doesn't have the neck. Fit in there pretty nice. But a loaded round, I don't have the neck completely done. Won't go in there all the way. So I still got some work to do on that. Now I didn't thread the holes that they drilled another hole here and another hole here. I wedged in and pounded in a bolt that I ground down, and then ground like a divot into it, and then welded it up. And then I've left the bayonet lug on so far. It'd be kind of funny. Maybe put an FAL bayonet on it. Another thing with this bolt is to make it, legal. You've got to take off the open bolt full auto sear face, which was here. I ground that down already. And then on the receiver, you've got to put a blocking bar so that a bolt that has the sear face won't go in. And you also need to make your receiver so that a full auto trigger group can be put onto it. And I've got that. I don't have the trigger group out here, but I've already converted the trigger group to semi-auto also. It was pretty easy. Really just got to cut off 2 parts. And I was cleaning up some of my junk. I'm trying to get a dirt bike put together so I can sell it. It's an old messed up one. And I found this laying down in the dirt by the dirt bike, and it's a gyroscope. I guess it's for an airplane, for a probably one of these RCAT drones that they shot down with artillery. I don't think this is ever going to gyro or scope again. It's very heavy. I'm sure it has some brass in there. And this thing. This looks like this would be something expensive. Some type of electrical connection. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not really sure what to call this to look it up on Google. Something else since I'm right here. I need to find all my parts so I can make a video, but this is part of the feed mechanism out of a Bofors 40mm autocannon. The shells would come in from the top and they would feed through these two things, would roll around and feed them down from the stripper clip, you know, into the chamber, with down where the bolt could push them into the chamber. And I've got some of the parts. Here's a part of the Bofors gun. There's another part of the Bofors gun. I found them up in a mesquite dune one time where there were some stripper clips and stuff. So unfortunately I didn't find any of the... A big part of that gun's brass. A big part of the feed mechanism where the 4-round clip goes in. I wish I would have found that. And here's my poor dirt bike. I broke my leg on this dirt bike back in 2005. I was probably doing at least 80. And I went to pass a four-wheeler, and the guy turned in front of me as I was passing him, and I T-boned him. And I don't remember the wreck. I woke up in the hospital the next day. It broke both bones in my right leg. And the bone, I've seen an x-ray where my foot is pointed up toward my knee, and the bone came out, caused a lot of nerve damage. I have a lot of problems in my foot. It smashed my foot. I hit my head really bad. I had my head was torn open. I got a big scar. And it messed up the front end of the bike. Those forks, they kind of look alright, but they're slightly tweaked. The bike flipped over. I mean, I wish it had been caught on video. This whole part was smashed in. And I never really fixed it. I never really got well enough, you know. I was like, I'm never going to kickstart. And this thing's been fixed up. This is a 1992 Honda XR 600R. And this was sent to XRs only. And it had the 5-gallon extra large tank on it. It's got the extra cooling fins welded on it. It's got the good flat slide carb. I don't remember what size it is. It's got different cams in it. It had the bigger headers on it. It's been bored out to 631cc. You know, you can see that's some kind of fancy aftermarket shocks. I don't remember what those are right now. Nice good rim. Under this tarp here, I've got a 2005 XR650L. So the bike under this tarp is very similar to this one. It has more cc's. This one feels like the 650 under here feels like a girl's bike. This thing was a beast. This was a bike you could race on the Baja. This was a bad bike. We raced it one time against a Suzuki DR650. And the DR650 topped out at 100, and it didn't have any more. Once it hit 100, that was its top. And this bike just pulled away from it really quick and just kept going. And this thing had really low gearing on it. It had a really big rear sprocket. A real small front sprocket, I think like a 13 tooth. I don't remember what the rear one was. I had a Super Trap exhaust. But I took it apart. I've been using it for some spare parts for the 650. And I just figured I'm never going to fix it. It's just laying out here in the dirt. It's taken apart. I managed to get the swing arm and a rear tire back on it. And I had it jacked up right now. I was trying to get the front on and it fell over. I just got out of the way and let it fall. So I think I'm going to just lay it on its side. I think I can get the front end on it there. I don't know. I'm going to try and get $400 for it. I don't know if that's realistic since it's really can't start it. But it'd be a good project bike. The engine still turns over. It's not seized. So here's my 650L. It's just too big for me to ride with my health problems now. If I fell over on this thing, I couldn't pick it up. But I like this one better for when it's got electric start. And it's got these really awesome handguards. Really, you can just, if you fall over and crash or something, you could just keep your hands gripped on here and you don't got to worry about smashing your fingers. It's got a metal bar in here. This plastic's pretty durable. And I welded up a rack so I could put these ammo boxes on there. There's another. I got another one down here. Goes right here, and boy, you can carry your supplies for the day. You know, if you find a lot of brass or something out there, you can bring it back and fill these up with junk. Got a bag back here I can fill up with crap. Strap stuff to this. You can tie things in over here. I used to have some saddlebags. Go in the gas tank. It's a real cool bike for exploring the desert. It's heavy enough that you can just smash over bushes and stuff. You can drive through a thicket and just crush things. Pretty much everywhere's a road. And fences are just an inconvenience. They don't really stop you. Wish I had a smaller bike to ride around. I'd probably only ride it on the street though. If I went out in the desert, I'd wind up falling and hurt myself. I've been going through some bad crap the last few weeks. I can barely stand up for 10 or 15 minutes. Another thing I've been playing with out here is this. It's a REO Motors, kind of like that song REO Speedwagon, same thing. And it's a rotary lawnmower. It's from the 50s. I think this is, if I remember right, it's actually from 1955. And you just hook up the spark plug and you put somewhere I've got the rope. I've still got the rope with the wooden handle. You tie around this and pull it. Hasn't been started in years, but it used to run. It ran when it was parked. Unfortunately, it got left out in the weather here since I've been sick for the last 5 years, and termites and stuff got to those wooden rollers. They weren't like that when it was in the shed, but it got, like I said, it got left out in the weather. This thing has a weird air filter. There's a Brillo pad in there. This is no good for this sandy area. It would just suck in dirt. It has a Brillo pad and you put oil on it. And that's not going to work. The few times I ran it out here, I put a sock over this to help keep out the sand. But I need to find a bolt. I still haven't been to the store. I need to get a bolt. And out of the thousands of bolts I have, none of the thread pitches right to hold the wheel on. I'm not going to do anything with this. I'm going to try and sell it too.